In 2017, a new president took office while powerful men fell as women came forward to say "Me Too." Those stories and more dominating the headlines in 2017. The year started with a big change in Washington, the inauguration of President Donald Trump.
The people became the rulers of this nation again.
The next day, millions protested the new president at the women's marches across the country, the biggest single day of demonstrations in American history. One of the president's first major actions, announcing a travel ban against 7 Muslim-majority countries. After court battles and rewrites, the Supreme Court let a revamped version take effect in December, while the legal fight continues. The president also confronting North Korea after the test firing of its first intercontinental ballistic missile. The North also testing its most powerful nuclear weapon yet, a hydrogen bomb, and launching a missile that scientists say can hit any point in the United States. In April, President Trump got his first big win on Capitol Hill. The Senate confirmed Justice Neil Gorsuch to replace the late Antonin Scalia on the Supreme Court. In May, President Trump fired the FBI Director James Comey. That led to the appointment of a special counsel, Robert Mueller, to run the investigation into Russia's election meddling and possible collusion with members of Team Trump. The investigation led to the indictment of the former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and the former campaign aide Rick Gates. Also, the former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts with the Russian ambassador. He's now cooperating with the special counsel. Also in May, a deadly terror attack on an Ariana Grande concert in England. 22 people killed, dozens more hurt. Just one of several attacks against Western countries throughout the year. In June, a shooting at a Republican congressional baseball practice outside D.C. The majority whip, Steve Scalise, the most seriously wounded. 3 months later, he got a standing ovation as he returned to Congress.
You have no idea how great this feels to be back here at work in the people's house.
In July, Iraq's prime minister announced the liberation of Mosul, Iraq's second biggest city, after more than 3 years under ISIS rule. 3 months later, U.S.-backed forces in Syria said they had recaptured Raqqa, the Islamic State's self-proclaimed capital. Charlottesville, Virginia became the scene of deadly demonstrations. A man plowed his car into a crowd of people demonstrating against a white nationalist rally and killed a woman. Days later, across the nation, people turned out to see the first coast-to-coast total eclipse of the sun in nearly a century.
Everyone just joined together and we experienced everything together, and that's nothing can beat that.
Americans continue to recover from 3 devastating hurricanes, which hit during the end of the summer. First, Harvey slammed into the U.S. as a Category 4 storm, causing catastrophic damage to Houston and the Texas coast.
We are just beginning the process of responding to this storm.
Next, Irma, one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record. It slammed Florida and the Caribbean with devastating rain. And finally, Hurricane Maria, carving a path of destruction through Puerto Rico, killing dozens of people and wiping out power to the entire island.
Go, come on out.
On October the 1st, O.J. Simpson walked free after spending 9 years behind bars following a botched robbery in Las Vegas. And just hours later in Las Vegas, the deadliest mass shooting in American history. 58 people killed and more than 500 wounded when a gunman fired into a crowded country music festival on the Las Vegas Strip. Still no word on his motive. Just a month later, another deadly mass shooting. 25 people died, including a pregnant woman, during a Sunday church service in Sutherland Springs, Texas. It's the deadliest shooting at a place of worship in American history.
No attack, no act of violence will ever break our spirit or diminish the faith of the American people.
In October, the legendary Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein lost his job and so much more after dozens of women accused him of harassment, assault, and even rape. But the accusations helped create the Me Too movement. Women and men came forward with stories about sexual misconduct. High-profile actors, musicians, journalists, and politicians all caught up in the scandal. Democratic lawmakers John Conyers and Al Franken announced their resignations. Then there's Roy Moore and the Alabama Senate race. Women accused him of harassing and assaulting them years ago when they were teenagers. Moore lost the special election to the Democratic opponent, Doug Jones. Finally, the House and Senate passed separate tax bills calling for the largest overhaul of the American tax code in more than 3 decades. Looking ahead to 2018, the midterm elections coming up, the whole country waiting to see if voters will reject or reward President Trump. We're also keeping a close eye on tensions with North Korea and the latest sexual misconduct accusations. Of course, we'll be here for all of it. In New York, I'm Shepard Smith, Fox News.